wonderful people, welcome to my channel. We're going to be making red velvet cake today, and let's just start. All right. Okay, so you need to do your buttermilk. If you can't buy this, you can easily make this. Please go back to the beginning of the video to see what I added. I simply added 2 teaspoons of white vinegar to half cup of milk. That is how to make your buttermilk in case you don't have it already, and it's an essential part of your red velvet cake process, so you can't skip that. So I'm starting with the dry ingredients. I just wanted to get the buttermilk out of the way first. Don't worry, I'll show you how to use it later on. For the dry ingredients, I used 1 cup of all-purpose flour, 1 tablespoon of cocoa, unsweetened cocoa powder, and 1 teaspoon of baking powder. Don't worry, just check for the recipe on the video. I'll be mixing this all together, and I use the sieve. I always like to use the sieve because sometimes your flour can like clump together and you don't want that. Don't if you just like skip that step, it can like hamper on all other things you're going to be doing, and you wouldn't want that to affect the texture of your cake when you're done. So I advise you to always use a sieve when you're doing this, then mix it thoroughly. When you're satisfied, then you can set it apart. The next thing I'm going to be doing now is for the wet ingredients. I'll be using my eggs. It's very important to use eggs. You can use yogurt if you want, but I prefer using eggs because it adds a lot of moisture, fluffiness to the texture of your cake. So what I'm doing now is I'm separating the yolks from the egg white. This will make it fluffier. Sometimes when I'm in a hurry, I whisk everything together. But to be very honest and sincere, it's better when you like whisk it separately. So I have my yolks there and I have my egg white. You can see the egg white is just on its own. So you want to like mix this with your hand mixer for like 2 to 3 minutes when it's like thick and like frothy, like how I'm going to make it seem very soon. So you want to continue mixing it until when it's very fruity, when it becomes like completely egg white, like so. The next thing you want to add is your sugar. I have half cup of sugar, but I'm not adding everything all together, guys. To make it like fluffy, you need to add it in bits. My half a cup of sugar, I added it like all over in 5 times, like so. I kept on adding it. I'll mix it, I'll add it, I'll mix it, I'll add it, I'll mix it till I exhausted all my sugar. So you want to keep doing that. When you have satisfied and you've reached like a desired goal, you now add your yolks. And the yolks, you're adding it one by one as well. You're not whisking everything together at the same time. You whisk one. When you're satisfied with how it is, then we go back and we add the other yolk. Then we whisk it again. Don't worry, it doesn't take too much time. It's just essential for you to get the steps like from the beginning so that you end up with a very yummy and like well textured cake at the end of the day. You guys trust me, you will see how well it's going to perform when you do this like so. So this is the time for me to add my buttermilk. You can see how it is when you add buttermilk, when you add vinegar to milk, it kind of forms that skin, and that is when it has become buttermilk. It's very essential. We're going to whisk all this together again. Just keep on using your hand mixer. It will help you to mix all the ingredients together. There will be no lumps formed at all. At this point, I will add half cup of my oil. If you want, you can add melted butter. I added some vanilla essence, and the most important part of our cake is our red food coloring. I added 1 tablespoon, and I saw that it was almost exhausted, so I just felt there was no need keeping the remaining. I eventually used everything. So let me just see, I used 1 tablespoon and a little teaspoon, and that is what is giving me this yummy color. So you want to go back to mix it all together again. When it's well mixed, it will be time for you to add your dry ingredients, which is your flour, your cocoa powder, and your baking powder. Guys, Another thing you want to do now is to add it in steps. Don't pour everything in at the same time. Hell, you're going to form lumps and you don't want that. So I'll be mixing it little by little. You can see that it's like kind of like having lumps, but don't worry, before I'm done, everything will be well mixed together. If you're not like confident using a spatula, you can use your hand mixer as well, and this will help you to mix everything. There'll be no lumps at all. So you want to keep going on and on. I actually divided my flour or my dry ingredients into four different parts. I added it like 4 times, so that's why I'm like not skipping any step. Just keep on mixing and mixing it in clockwise position until when you achieve your desired texture. So I mixed that all together again, and I added the last part. That was just the last part of the flour that was left. So you want to make sure you mix everything all together again. By the time it's becoming thick, you won't have any lumps at all. I mixed it again for like 1 minute, and by the time I was done, I was actually thinking I was going to use my hand mixer to finish it off, but it was not necessary at this point. Everything was well mixed. The time you see me turning it into the baking vessel, you see that everything was mixed all together. So you can use a baking pan, you can use a baking tin. I'm using a silicone baking vessel for the purpose of this video, and I'm just using some oil to grease it all over so that it's easy for it to come out when I'm done baking. So guys, you can see the texture of the batter. It's well formed now. So you just want to like tap it to remove all excess air bubbles. I like to do this like 2 times to remove all the excess air bubbles so that it will bake evenly and through. And I baked it for 35 minutes and 180 degrees centigrade. So you want to make sure that when you stick in your skewer inside, it comes out clean. That is how you know that it is well baked and it is well cooked through. And it's now time for me to remove it from my silicone mold, and it's time for me to cut into that cake. Let's see how the cake has performed. Guys, you can see how clean the knife is. If it was not well baked, it won't come out clean like that. If it's not well baked, the middle of the cake would have sunken. That means it didn't cook for the number of minutes it was supposed to cook through for. So even though yours does not cook in like 35 minutes, make sure that when your cake is brought out from the oven, it's not sunken at the top and it's like clean on all sides. It's not like one side is like sunken or something. That is how you know that your cake is well baked and well cooked through. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in my other videos. Bye.